right. So I am actually 2 minutes behind. Ran into a bit of technical difficulty there, but I'm here now. So, like I said, I'm going to start trying to do these podcasts at 6 on Monday and, possibly on Wednesday too. Today, I kind of wanted to double back on, what I am, what I'm doing, why I've been putting up all these posts for all these years, and ultimately what it's been leading up to, right? It doesn't matter what faith system you belong to. This necessarily entails your beliefs and everything that your belief system hasn't been able to cover, just as a product of working through systems of idealism and not actually being linked to the source and or connected to reality itself. So again, I'm something called an avatar, all right? This isn't some title that I gave myself. It's not some way that I want to perceive myself or, it's not self-idealizing in any way, shape, or form. I didn't believe such things existed prior to going to the state condition humans would rightfully call heaven. Prior to all of this, I was a self-professed atheist and whatnot, and I thought people who believed in this sort of stuff, I thought they were ridiculous. And it turns out I get to be living proof of the fact that I was wrong. Nice lesson in humility. But so again, what an avatar is, it's a person who hosts a function of reality. Reality is a living, sentient, and self-aware system. The easiest way to think of it, though, is kind of like a perfect accountant. It manages balance between systems and balances the phenomenon humans would rightfully refer to as mutualism or mutual symbiosis. All right. So why is it important to understand all of this stuff? Okay. Well, because again, reality is a system unto itself. All right. When you create imbalances within that system, the system is necessarily forced to offset the imbalances you create, not out of vanity, not out of pride, but because there are interdependent systems of systems, and every imbalance that's created, well, it lends momentum to ripple effects that reverberate throughout multiple systems. All right. Now, the main thing that reality manages is the balance between the two systems that humans refer to as existence and non-existence. It's very, very, very important to understand. Which brings us to the point of me, what I am, and why things like me exist at all. All right? So I'm hosting an entity. In the Christian faith system, they refer to it as Holy Ghost or Holy Spirit. All right? In the Hindu faith system, it is, avatar. Okay? For fleshly manifestation of a deity, or more importantly, one who houses a function of the system of reality itself. Reality is like a body, kind of like an antibody within a body that's under attack by a disease. Well, not me, but the thing that I'm hosting right now. All right, so why is it important to understand this? Well, you have to understand what the universe is. Human conceptions of the universe are way off base. Reality doesn't care about the system of agreements you all come up with and circulate among yourselves. Reality was here first. Your systems of agreements and your inner stories mean nothing to reality. Nothing. Your science, your technology, all the ways in which you impress yourselves, they mean nothing to reality in the grand scheme of things. The universe is an organism. The universe is an organism, and right now that organism is in utero, at least so far as I understand it. It's presently under attack from a parasitic twin universe. Have you ever seen a conjoined twin? Two bodies fused together? You ever seen one of them? That's basically what's about to happen to the bodies of these universes. Parasitism, a parasitic twin. How does that come to be? I shot a video on this called Justice Story a few years back, but I'll break it down for you real quick. So, when one of the twins is about to die, but doesn't die fully, it gets trapped in a state of in-between. When it's trapped in this state of in-between, it becomes open to the phenomenon that humans would rightfully refer to as corruption. All right? This parasitic twin universe, it basically got its cellular building blocks and the principles that govern the cellular building blocks transformed into a different set of principles, and this new way of being, it's turned this universe into, for all intents and purposes, the embodiment of a disease. And as this parasitic twin continues to burrow into and cannibalize and destroy the body of its sibling, the reason for why conjoined twins exist is because reality as a system steps in and says halt to the aggressor cells. It says halt. Now, we're in a situation where this entity, it shows up in someone every few generations or so. It says to the species, stop aggressing. A fuse is about to be formed between this parasitic twin universe and its sibling. Any cellular building block that remains in an aggressor state will not only be cut away from the body, but it will be cast into reality's cleansing system, what I refer to in my work as the distortion. All right? The more aggressive you are, the more competitive you are, the more vain and narcissistic you are, is the more in league with corruption you are. You see, as a system, reality and corruption are going head to head. It's always been a war between reality and corruption. Reality is the phenomenon humans would rightfully refer to as God. Corruption is the entity that humans would rightfully refer to as devil. You're either in league with reality and you're tuned to reality, or you're tuned to corruption. But you cannot serve two masters. So who are you more geared towards? Are you more given to reality, or are you more given to corruption? If you're more given to corruption, then reality has to cut you away and purge the corruption out of you, which is a process human words and concepts simply don't have the means to explain. Who do you serve? Are you synced up with reality? Are you synced up with things that exist mutually exclusive of you and your experience? Or are you dialed into the inner story and or given to the networks of stories that humans use to facilitate interaction and trade and to make sense of reality with? Are you given to the story? Or are you given to reality? Every mythology in every religion that boils down to the battle of the end, the battle at the end of the world between good and evil and all this other stuff. Are you synced up with reality, or are you tuned to corruption? It's that simple. So, if you, again, we're about to be a conjoined twin. Every disease that you see, every parasite that you see, every form of corruption that you see, every mosquito, every parasitic tongue louse, every wasp, all of these phenomena, all of these different creatures, they belong to, their cellular building blocks belonging to the parasitic twin universe, and they're finding their way into this universe. It's why new diseases are popping up all the time. Again, just through different scales of plane, it's this organism burrowing into, cannibalizing, and transforming the body of another. In reality, the system itself is called a cease and desist. Every now and again, it picks an individual, sends one of its agents to speak through the individual to the species. Stop. Reality doesn't care about the little games you all play to acquire the most resources. It doesn't care about the stories you tell yourselves about how important you are, or how pretty or amazing you think you are. It doesn't care about the systems of agreements you come up with on its behalf. Every aggressive action you make towards impacting the system of reality, it's coming out of your ass with interest that's more than you could hope to bear. It's not a game. Humans, they're very given to games. They're very given to competition. Reality said, stop competing. And if you try to compete against reality, or the function of reality that's trying to speak to the species, it is considered a direct violation against the system itself, and it multiplies the consequences you will face exponentially, be it directly to the entity's face, or be it behind closed doors and agreements you make and whatever. There's no action you can make that's hidden from reality. A lot of you in for a really bad ride after this, man. A really bad ride. So, what I'm trying to do basically is get people out of the aggressor state. I'm trying to help you learn how to reverse your coding so that you can recognize and sync up with reality and do everything within your ability to reverse the negative impacts you've made on the system. I'm really doing everything that I can to help. The system doesn't care whether or not you like me. The system doesn't care whether or not you approve of me. This is your chance to get it right. This is your chance to turn it around. Let me see. I am an interesting gentleman. Thank you, Kai Shin Mao. I don't try to be interesting per se. I simply tell the truth of my experience, and I let the cards fall where they will. But this is real. This is happening. Regardless of whether you like it or not, it's happening. Who are you more given to? Are you given to corruption? Are you given to reality? If you are given to corruption, you're not simply aggressing against the people and things you perceive to be beneath you. You're aggressing against the system of reality itself. All the ripple effects that you create that pass not just around the planet, but to higher scales of plane, those things count against you. Reality has to balance itself, and it is the perfect accountant. For every negative impact you make on reality, potential is stolen from you, or not stolen, but taken back from you, moving into your next life cycle. This is how the system works. Some of y'all have made and contributed to impacts that I need to work with you around the clock to do what I can to try and at least get you the minimum amount of damage you are going to incur moving into the next life cycle. This shit is going to be bad, dog. It's going to be bad. And here's what I want you to understand too. Most of this is not your fault. This is something, one of the main reasons why I try to be understanding of people and their circumstance and situations they come from is because we were all born into this situation. It doesn't matter what culture you come from. It doesn't matter what your race is. Someone dropped you into the middle of a race, handed you a baton, and told you to surpass whoever's in front of you and stay ahead of whoever's behind you. And in the process of trying to win, in the process of trying to run this race, we don't pay attention to every place that we're stepping. We don't pay attention to the terrible things we have to do to stay ahead of those who we perceive behind us, or the awful things we do to try and catch up to those who are ahead. We have these inner stories. We run on these inner stories and we sprint, we take off, we're running as fast as we can to make it to a finish line that only exists in our minds. It's a bad deal. We were given misinformation. All of us were given misinformation. And then, even worse than that, those of us who know we're part of the process of disseminating misinformation are only doing that because we were given misinformation. It's a bad deal all around. It's unfair. So every now and again, in reality, it taps someone and it's like, yo, we're going to, I'm going to give you a fair shake. I'm going to give you a fair shot at this. Yeah, you got dealt a shitty hand on the front end, but I'm going to send you somebody that's going to help you make sense of the circumstance and turn things around. Pray to God. You're not silly enough to try and compete against that entity when it's trying to help you. Because the consequences tied to trying to compete against an avatar or anyone who reality is using and trying to work through, they're more than you can imagine. It's considered a direct violation against the system itself. The system of reality is called a cease and desist. If you let your vanity and your aggression and your competitiveness interfere with reality trying to do its work, again, reality being a living, sentient, and self-aware system, you try to knuckle up against the system itself. And I want to put this in proper context for you. At the very best, you are a cellular building block belonging to a defunct life form. The parasitic twin, it is a defunct life form. That defunct life form, imagine a fetus trying to knuckle up against God. That's what you're up against right now. If you choose corruption, your power is limited to that of a fetus compared to a system without limits. And the system seeing you as an aggressive life form, as a hostile agent, will meet you with the full weight of the system. It will treat you in the exact same way it treats corruption. You know how your body attacks diseases it's trying to fight off? That is how reality will respond to you for every negative impact you make on this system. It's not playing. This isn't a game. This isn't for fun. I've spent 13 years of my life toiling through this. I'm exhausted. I am fucking exhausted. Just putting out all these principles and trying to explain what the fuck is going on. I'm emotionally bruised. I'm exhausted. I'm not doing this for fun, is the point that I'm getting at. This isn't me trying, I'm not seeking attention. I'm not trying to buddy up to anybody. I'm not trying to look important. I'm doing what I've been told to do by something that's exponentially more intelligent than me. Demonstratedly so. This isn't a game, guys. If you treat it like a game, you try to compete against the system will strike you down in the same way it strikes down corruption. Who do you serve? Hey, we got some more comments over here. Oh, yeah, okay. Hey, Catherine Music. Yes, I will. This will actually be posted after I'm done. It all goes to my Facebook wall, but yeah, I definitely will do that. So, again, I just want to explain all of this to you guys. Again, I'm not trying to convince you of anything. That's the beauty of truth, and that's the beauty of being synced up with reality. Something that most people don't understand is that truth is simply what's consistent with reality. If reality is God, okay? If reality is God, and it is, then truth is what's consistent with reality. Honesty is the individual's will and effort to recognize and sync up with reality. You can't do that if you live in your inner story. You can't do that if you live in the networks of stories humans create and agree to. You have to set the stories down and try to understand reality from outside of your internal narrative. You know, I put up a Patreon and I put up my little Cash App tag for a reason. It's not necessarily because I'm looking, I certainly not to profit from any of the stuff that I do. The point is that I've done everything in my power to try and reach as many people as possible as I can through this tenure, right? But there are social barriers in place that sort of prevent me from reaching higher platforms. It doesn't make sense for me to tell people that their life, moving into the next life cycle, and even on this side of existence, weighs in the balance if I don't give them every opportunity to help clear the path for this thing within me to be heard. I'm trying to give you guys a fair chance. Whether or not you'll take it is up to you, but regardless of what you feel, how you believe, or what you do, there isn't a person who makes it out of this alive. Again, reality is a system that exists mutually exclusive of humanity. It's one of the most ridiculous things to me is the concept of solipsism, wherein people believe that somehow humans always come up with these silly theories that reality, it is born from perception and self-perception, and it sort of ignores things like systems that had to exist prior to self-awareness. If something existed prior to this species and prior to you and your experiential vantage point, then why wouldn't something exist afterward? It's simple deduction. Right now, you're in a bad way. I'm doing everything that I can to try and help, but once the lights go out, once I'm out of this body, I wouldn't want to be aligned with corruption if I were you. That much I can promise. Certainly promise. Anywho, I appreciate you all. Thank you for tuning in. I hope I covered all the points that I wanted to get to, and I hope I covered them well enough. Again, it's a parasitic twin universe burrowing into the universe we're presently in. It's the same principle that applies to all diseases or invading forces into different areas, or like, weeds overtaking a system. It's parasitic building blocks finding their way into and overtaking and stealing and destroying systems. It's the same principle over and over and over again. We're just looking at it on the scale of planet it's happening on. It's not hard to grasp. So yeah, hopefully I explained this well enough. Again, this is one of those situations where it's like I would love to have some interaction and some dialogue, because I think that it's like I do better when it comes to explaining things in real time and speaking to technology under the impression of reaching an audience. It still feels very weird to me, but it's not going to stop me from trying. Hopefully from all the work that I do, you glean some sort of value. The goal is, again, to help as many people as I possibly can learn how to switch their coding from an aggressor state to a neutral state. If you're a neutral state, by the time you pass out of this body, moving into your next life cycle, hopefully you've done enough to offset the negative impacts you've caused and created in reality and or contributed to. And, well, you won't have to face that purging process, because it's brutal. It's brutal. Anywho, you guys can obviously, let me see, you check me out on my social media platforms. I'm on Facebook, obviously. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, and Medium, even though Medium just changed their logo. Now I have to go back and do something else. But, more than anything, I just want to thank you for just tuning in and watching. You see me down here on the ticker. I have my my Patreon. You can always join the Patreon family. You can always, Cash App if for whatever reason you're like, hey man, here's some love, bruh. And I'm at Donnie Kang. Don't ask me why I chose that name, but everything goes towards helping build this up to a larger platform, because I probably need to be heard by the entire species. Not probably, I certainly need to be heard by the entire species, and whatever you can do to assist in that way, I greatly appreciate it. So anywho, I said I was going to keep these down to 30 minutes, and I want to keep to my word. So, Deo, oh man, is it reality that people are suffering under the government they voted for to give them a good life? Oh, I'm gonna run over just slightly. It's terrible. But hey, what's up, Deo? How you doing? No, that is not reality. That is society. Okay. See, what you have to understand, the difference between reality and society is simply this: society happens in idealism. Okay, it happens in idealism. Okay, now, do human parasites under the influence of corruption and under And through the system of idealism, impact upon other individuals, yes. But what you have to understand is that money and systems of trade and systems of agreements and authority, all of these happen in the mind. In reality, there's no such thing as authority. There's no such thing as authority. It's something that's something that everyone agrees to. It's something that people believe. It's a contract that humans make among themselves, but in reality, no such thing is it isn't. It simply isn't a thing. A government, what is it? It's a system of individuals who make decisions on behalf of others, generally pertaining to the dispensation of resources. Ownership, it's a concept that exists exclusively in the mind. Authority exists exclusively in the mind. These cowardly ideologues out here calling themselves authorities who go around beating on, murdering, and brutalizing people, they're not doing that because in reality they're imbued with any rights to do so. That's something that happens within systems of corruption and systems of idealism. You know, we have this misconception that what happens to us in reality happens for real. But at the end of the day, when you think about debt, debt is something that exists exclusively in idealism. When someone says, hey, I haven't received X amount of dollars from you, so I'm going to cut your lights off, or I'm going to take this thing from you, or I'm going to this, or I'm going to that, the entire value of money exists exclusively inside your mind and inside the mind of the individual who believes you owe it to them. Society runs on idealism. Reality functions mutually exclusive of idealism. How individuals who are given to corruption are affected through systems of idealism ultimately encourages them to impact upon the system and impact upon others in various ways. However, that's not reality. In reality, there's no such thing as race. Everything is divided according to species. Reality draws the line at procreation. Black dick goes in white vagina, yellow baby. Yellow baby, yellow penis goes into white vagina, beige baby. Reality draws the line at procreation. We come up with all these extra rules. And reality does not agree, reality does not recognize, it does not conform to or consider the rules we come up with. Doesn't care about our science, doesn't care about our religions, doesn't care how special we think we are or our little contest. It doesn't care about our Olympics. It's not watching sporting events and rooting for one party over the other. That's shit we do. Anywho, I ended up running over darkness by 3 minutes. But I usually get people to chime in towards the end. So, maybe I'll start, I guess extending them out. I guess maybe 30 minutes might be a little short. But, I just want to explain all this to you. I'm not some guy who's over here, hype off the idea of myself. I'm not over here just wilding yo, look at me, I'm special, none of that. None of that. I'm imbued with a entity that I host, and the entity that I host, it allows me to see reality in sort of perfect pitch. I see it in sort of like a binary, or more accurately, more like a quaternary. And you see how things fit and function together. I'm able to see all the principles that human concepts aspire to, and I can prove what I see against the best convention in the world. And I'd say about 1,000 out of 1,000 times I come out on top. I've been testing myself against the wisdom of the wise for nearly 13 years, and I haven't taken a dive yet. I haven't been slayed once. So it is what it is. But you need to know. It's only fair for you to know. Because regardless of what comes to pass, once I'm out of this body, whoever isn't in a neutral state, whoever's still in that aggressive state, bad things, very, very, very bad things await you. Even worse for those who directly aggress against the entity that I'm hosting by trying to delay me, by trying to take their anger and frustrations out on me. It's bad. Very bad. But we'll all find out. It's the beautiful thing about reality. You'll see soon enough. It's your boy Donald King, signing off. Much love to y'all. Appreciate you. Good night.